Hi, thank you for being here. My name is Sara Manisera. I'm an Italian independent reporter, and with me there is Daniela. We are both members of FADA Collective, which is a non-profit organization that does investigative reports and connect with the communities, does impact with local communities, and we are trying to bring our stories back to the audience in a different way. We produce public multimedia reportage and investigation that are usually linked to the local and global. And we work on climate crisis, supply chains, border policies. Our approach is trying to hold in public and private companies and actors accountable for what they do. And we always say, and we like to say, that we like to connect the dots. And of course, we are trying to put as a value respect the people that we meet in the field. We have 3 pillars. We report, so we do investigation. We connect, so we connect with other, especially young storytellers. And we impact, so we do different open-air exhibitions, theater journalism, comics, public events, in order to bring our investigation back to local communities, marginalized communities, in general, where there is the so-called media desert. So today we're going to introduce to you our investigation, Iraq Without Water, how it started. It's a long journey. It started back in 2016, to be honest. I've been working there since many years, and in 2019, we covered the protests in Iraq, the so-called Tawra, the uprising by young people. We were in touch with young people who went protesting in the middle of the street for asking for better rights, for the right to water, and we meet incredible, amazing young Iraqi activists, water activists, who are defending the Tigris and Euphrates River, and with them, we did a trip from the north to the south, across the Tigris River. Is a web documentary called Open, IraqWithoutWater.org, that you can watch. It's still online, Italian and English. And then while we were there, while we were talking with them, we noticed that more and more reports were published addressing the issue of lack of water in Iraq and the droughts. But in these reports, there was one actor that was missed, the oil company sector. So there was an increased coverage of the climate crisis, but too little investigation of the water, the oil companies and the gas companies involved in the water depletion. So we decided, together with Daniela, to apply for a grant because we already collected enough material that was important to see what was doing the oil companies in southern Iraq.
Okay. I'll take over from here with some basic facts, just for context, and also, these facts were actually like the starting point of our investigation. So Iraq is considered by the UN the 5th most exposed country in the world to the effect of the climate crisis and water scarcity. This means that entire areas of the country, especially in the south, will be unlivable by 2030. But if on one hand Iraq is extremely water scarce, unfortunately for the Iraqis, is also one of the richest countries in the world in natural resources, and specifically oil. Iraq holds the 5th biggest oil reserve in the world. This means that in the southern part of the country, like in Basra, where 2/3 of the oil Iraqi production is taking place, there are some of the biggest oil fields in the world. These huge oil fields are indirectly managed by international oil companies. We are talking about giants in the industry, very well known, BP, the British Petroleum, Lukoil, the Italian oil and gas multinational Eni, and many others. One important fact to stress, we believe, is to underline that the technical service contracts that these foreign companies operate through were all signed in the wake of the 2003 US invasion of Iraq. Why this is relevant? Because, to say the least, these contracts are quite favorable to the foreign oil companies, and in fact, this contract has several loopholes that get easily exploited by the company to avoid their environmental commitments and responsibility. Last but not least, with the war in Ukraine, with the invasion of Russia in Ukraine, the export of oil from Iraq increased, the export to Europe specifically. This means more exploitation of the oil fields, with international oil companies scaling up the production, the revenues, but also the environmental damage. A key finding of our investigation was to document how water is used to extract oil. Water is injected in oil fields to maintain the pressure of for technical reason of the well, and this water is diverted from the river or taken from groundwater in a proportion that is 3 gallons of water per gallon of oil, so 3 times as much. How did we work on the field? First of all, we did work with 2 Iraqi colleagues, a Syrian Iraqi colleague, Lina Issa, and an Iraqi colleague from Basra, Issam el-Sudani. We spent around 1 month together working on the field in Basra. On the field, we met dozens of people that we interviewed, including workers, experts, residents, activists. One thing we would like to underline is that to spend quite an amount of time on the field was particularly crucial in order to establish a certain level of trust with all the different sources. As you can easily imagine, such a big industry is a very sensitive topic in Iraq. To talk about what is going on in the industry can expose especially Iraqi nationals to very serious consequences. So, I mean, of course, it was very much necessary to meet people more than once and to establish a conversation about our work, what were our goals, and what we wanted to do. This trust is what allowed us to get access to leaked documents, is what allowed us to enter to places that were initially prohibited to us, crucial places like hospitals and some industrial facilities. To work on the field was also crucial in order to verify the actual impact on the field. And also, I mean, it led us in particular to discover a plant that back then in 2023 was still under construction. It is a dam that is being built by the Italian multinational Eni, and it is a dam that is being used to divert more water from the river to the oil field. And most probably, if we didn't have spent that time on the field, we would not have found out about this project because, I mean, to say the least, it's not really publicized. I mean, among the different methods that we used, there is also mapping and satellite. We use these methods in, I mean, the different stages of the investigation. The whole investigation lasted around 1 year, we can say. So we use this method in different ways for pre-production. For instance, we studied as much as possible satellite and mapping in order to identify relevant plans and to familiarize with the geography and with the specificity of the territory that we wanted to go and to verify certain information. We also used some satellite images for fact-checking. For instance, this dam that I was mentioning before, we talked to local residents, mostly farmers and fishermen, because we are talking about an area where there were marshes and canals. And fishermen told us that as a result of the dam, this part of the marshes went completely dry. So even though we collected several interviews confirming this, we also used satellite and historical images to verify what was the situation, like the water situation before the dam was built and how it developed over the months and over the year. And in this way, we could provide also like further proof supporting what the local residents told us. And then, I mean, we also used mapping and videos for visualization. Those were included in some publication, basically to help the audience and the reader to get with some immediacy, like the scale of the problem we are talking about. Before giving the word back to Sara, I just like to mention, I mean, to get back to the main title of this panel, I mean, why linking the climate crisis to the responsibility of all companies in this case, but of companies in general? Well, because climate crisis is not coming from Mars. There are specific responsibilities that need to be addressed. When it comes to oil and gas company, many of these companies, in fact, have headquarters in Europe. Some of them, like the Italian multinational, there is the Italian state that is a shareholder in the company. So we strongly believe that is our work and our duty as European reporters to connect these dots and to make this information available for the audience in Italy and in Europe. And also because this company now, they are rebranding themselves as green company, as sustainable company. So we think it's crucial to expose them and to show that they are continuing, in fact, business as usual in many places, including Iraq. How to link this responsibility? I mean, of course, through investigations. We also used shareholder meetings. We have sources that provided us documents through shareholders meeting, and we also used our indirect access to shareholder meetings to pose some question to the company, because in that context they are actually obliged to respond to the shareholders. And for us it was also a way to make the shareholders like present and to have like public record of this information and findings that we found, that we unveiled through our investigation. We also used annual reports of the companies and confronted them with like other data available, for instance, through satellite. And this is also like another way to expose well, the lies of these companies, we can say. And yeah, so the idea is to think a bit, I don't know if creatively is the right word, but I mean to think into multiple directions. And on this note, I will give the word back to Sara.
Yeah, we believe, as I said at the beginning, as FADA Collective, we believe that report is important, but is not enough anymore. We should find other forms to come back to communities. And that's why, of course, the impact and dissemination of our work is super important. And of course, awards are important. We won this year the European Press Prize Award, and we are very glad and honored, but it's not enough. We have to come back to local communities in different ways. So we did some events and screenings along in different areas of Italy. We met with activists, local activists working with local communities. For example, the Venice Climate Camp, one of the most important in north of Italy. We also, our photos have been used also by different organizations in different march and camps and protests. And we are trying also to build a network with Iraqi activists and Italian activists in order to create a network across different countries. We are also part of a global ecocide campaign that we're trying to build, because we believe that those companies should pay for the ecocide that they are creating in Iraq, because they are putting their profits before anything else. And yeah, so that's it. We have more questions. I forgot to tell you something, but We published the story in different media. One of the most important media was Iraqi media, which is an investigative reporting media, small newsroom. We published also the investigation in The Guardian and different other medias, but as I said, it's, our work doesn't finish with investigation.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Mi. I've reported myself on oil extraction in Ecuador and also on ecocide. And one of the issues or challenges we had was around sources. So it's difficult, you can't get access to every kind of source, right? You can't call the company or you can't call the local politician necessarily to ask questions. So you kind of rely on, or we did anyway, rely on activists or experts maybe or locals a lot in your investigation. So my question is, how was that reflections that you had? How you use sources and what they could explain and what they can't explain and verifications and stuff like that?
Well, first of all, we are working in Iraq since many years, so we have a network of contacts and relations, not only with activists or water activists, but also with people in the area. And as Daniela said, while being there, it was very helpful also to create the trust with other people. For example, doctors who didn't want to expose themselves because of the risk they're taking, exposing themselves. But after staying with them and after showing that they could trust us, we get access, for example, to the hospitals, while the Iraqi authorities didn't allow us to enter, for example. And the same happened with other people working inside the Ministry of the Environment in Iraq. So while we were there, we met them several times. They trust us. And that's helped us to get also some leaked documents and some leaked documents also from the Ministry of Health showing that the numbers of the people dying of cancer were not the same as reported in the official report. So it was really a mix, I can say, between research, expert, but also empathy with people and creating this trust that I think is very necessary when you work in a context where people cannot expose and you have to protect them.
Hello, I'm Miriam. I'm from The Examination. We're a non-profit doing global health investigative reporting, but focusing on industries which kill and sicken everyone, and the fossil fuel industry is obviously a big core area for us, so we would love to talk to you after this more, and that this investigation is really inspiring. I wanted to just hear more about building the relationship with the shareholders, because that's really interesting, and of a really key audience for driving impact can often be like the financial side of things, the investors. They're the ones that often really hold the power as to how these companies are going to behave. So it was really cool to see that was an audience for you, and that those findings were used with that audience, like the audience took those findings and did something with them. So can you just tell me how you built that relationship with the shareholders?
So basically, as reporters, I think we are always building on other people and other parties' work, of course. In this case, specifically, there is an environmental organization in Italy, which is called Recommon, and it's part of their strategy to buy shares of companies that they go after. And in this way, of course, they are allowed participating in the meetings. We developed over the years quite a good relationship with them. So even though they were not covering specifically Iraq, it was really not in the radar, but we are in constant communication because I think part of our goals, are similar. We just knew, we knew when the shareholder meetings was going to be, and by then we had kind of, basically completed our investigation. We were approaching publication, and we provided them with some questions that we wanted to ask to the company again. Some of these questions we also asked directly to the company for the right of reply, but it's also interesting because they answered in slightly different ways. And again, for us, it's really important because in this way, it's also all the other shareholders that get access to those information. So that's how it was.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Joy, and I'm from Earthrise, which is a climate storytelling studio, and one of our key aims as well is to look at accountability reporting of fossil fuel companies. So incredible work. I'm really interested in the global impact campaign that you guys mentioned. How are you guys balancing the need for global goals while also involving, I guess, the needs of local communities, and how are you involving them in that process?
We are working in a kind of interdisciplinary approach and methodology, in the sense that we do journalism, but at the same time we connect with other organizations, local organizations like Dijla, which is an Iraqi organization based in Iraq, with activists and experts based in Iraq. And then there are like Italian organizations that work on holding oil companies accountable for what they do in other countries. And then we are trying to build with other, like Greenpeace, another network more globally in order to do like investigation, campaigning, education, so different parts of work. That's how we work, more or less.
Hi, I'm Frida, and I'm a student, and I have a question. Where do you keep, or how do you keep the line between activism and journalism?
I mean, I think more or less, as Sara was just saying, we do not do the campaigning ourselves. We see our role as, I mean, first of all, unveiling information, making those information available to the public. And for me, the public include everyone. I mean, I'm not collecting information to keep them. I'm collecting them to spread them, basically. And I mean, of course, this also include making this information available, like more directly for people who advocate for, for certain things or for certain topic. And then it's actually these other parties taking the lead when it comes to the campaigning, if that makes sense. So we don't create the campaign ourselves directly. That's, yeah.
Yeah, and also like we do our job with the methodology of journalism, fact-checking, in thousands of interviews, experts, documents. So we have our methodology as journalists, and then of course there are other actors that bring these key findings and our story somewhere else. And the same that happens, for example, with universities, which is something that we do a lot, working also with universities.
Just brilliant, first off, buying the shares. Whoever did it, doesn't matter. I really respect that, and it's great. Can you share any techniques in terms of building relations with healthcare professionals to build trust and reliance so that they will share factual information? Because I think that that's actually a very difficult thing to do.
Time. Staying with them. I mean, if you want, I can tell the story of this investigation. I mean, in the sense that we wanted to meet a doctor, a couple of doctors actually, and at the beginning he didn't want to talk with us. He didn't want to talk with journalists, but then we spent a lot of time with him, and we went to his bureau. To his office, basically, which was private as well. I mean, he works in the public hospital, but also in the private. So we went to his office. We explained what we do, how we do, our methodology, which kind of person we are. And then after some days, a lot of chai, a lot of teas, he said, okay, tomorrow morning, come with me, follow me, and you will have the access to the hospital. So it's really a matter of trust, time, and again, empathy. Which kind of person you are, and which kind of values are you spreading also through our work. So I think, thank you very much for the attention. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the European Press Prize. Thanks to IMED Festival for the invitation.